Mongolia. There is a boy in this country who learned to ride a horse before he learned to read. By the time he turns 5, he will be racing across open grassland at full sprint. No fence in sight, no finish line you could point to from where he started. His mother will watch him disappear over a hill and not worry, because out here, that is simply what growing up looks like. And 2 hours away, in a glass tower with a rooftop bar overlooking the city lights, someone his exact age is sipping a $20 cocktail, laughing with friends, posting the view to a phone screen. Same country, same night, 2 centuries apart, and somehow both true at once. This is Mongolia, and by the time this video ends, you may never look at the world the same way again. Have you ever looked at a map and found a country so massive it doesn't seem to make sense that almost nobody lives there? That silence, that emptiness, isn't a mistake. It's the entire point. Mongolia is the size of Alaska combined with half of Texas, and its entire population is smaller than the city of Chicago. 6 people per square mile. That is the lowest population density anywhere on planet Earth. Try to picture that for a moment. You could drive for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and never pass another car, another house, another person. No power lines slicing the sky, no fences marking whose land is whose. Just grass, wind, and horizon, stretching so far that the earth itself seems to curve beneath you. Here's the question I want you to sit with while we go on this journey together. What does it do to a person to grow up with that much space? What does it do to a culture that has never needed walls? Because here's the problem most people run into when they try to imagine Mongolia. They can't place it. Is it Siberia? Is it a province of China? Did time simply stop here somewhere around the year 1200? The truth, as you're about to see, is far stranger and far more beautiful than any of those guesses. By the time we're done today, you are going to meet a 13-year-old girl who broke a tradition that had stood untouched for 2,000 years. You're going to witness a species of horse that vanished from the wild completely, down to 12 animals left alive on the entire planet, and then somehow came back. You're going to understand how a nation with almost no people once conquered nearly a quarter of the Earth's surface, and why their direct bloodline still runs through 16 million men alive today. This is not a place you visit passively. Mongolia does not let you stay a tourist for long. It pulls you in. Picture this. You wake up inside a jur, a traditional round felt tent that has sheltered families here for centuries. You unzip the door flap, and the entire world opens in front of you. Not a tree in sight, not a road, not another soul, just grass, rolling toward a horizon so distant it plays tricks on your eyes, making you swear you can see the actual curve of the earth. That is morning number 1 in Mongolia, and it never quite leaves you. The scale of this country is difficult to overstate. 603,000 square miles of territory. You could fit the entire country of Germany inside it 4 separate times and still have room left over. And into all of that space, only 3.4 million people. Fewer people than live in a single mid-sized American city, spread across a landmass larger than most of Western Europe combined. There is no ocean here either. Mongolia is landlocked, the second largest landlocked nation on Earth, behind only Kazakhstan. The nearest coastline sits 400 miles away in any direction. Whatever wind touches your face out on that grassland has traveled a very long way to reach you, carrying dust from deserts and cold from mountains you will never see. The land itself breaks into 3 distinct worlds. To the west, the Altai Mountains rise sharp and jagged, snow-capped year-round, their highest peak piercing past 14,000 feet into thin, freezing air. To the south stretches the Gobi, one of the largest and strangest deserts on the planet. And in between them all lies the steppe, an ocean of grass so vast it seems to have no edges at all. Up in the north sits Lake Kvsgol, a body of water so old and so vast it holds 2% of all the fresh water on the entire planet, inside a single lake. Locals call it the Blue Pearl, and once you see the color of that water, you will understand exactly why. Now let's talk about what this land does to the people who survive it, because the climate here is not gentle. Winters plunge to 40 degrees below zero, summers can climb past 104, A temperature swing of nearly 145 degrees in the very same country, sometimes in the very same year. Ulaanbaatar holds the record as the coldest capital city on the entire planet. And yet, somehow, this brutal land carries a nickname full of tenderness. They call it the land of the eternal blue sky, because for more than 260 days a year, the sky above Mongolia stays completely, brilliantly clear. NASA has listed the Gobi Desert as one of the 5 darkest sky sanctuaries left anywhere on Earth. Out here, you don't simply see the Milky Way. You witness it, close enough to feel like you could reach up and touch it. If you are ready for this epic journey, drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from right now. Hit like on this video, subscribe to Legends TV, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story we bring you from the far corners of this planet. Because what you've seen so far is only the beginning of what makes Mongolia unlike anywhere else on Earth. There is also a phenomenon here that happens almost nowhere else on the planet. Locals call it a dzud, a brutal winter combination of deep snow layered over frozen ground, so thick that grazing animals cannot break through to reach the grass beneath. In 2010, a single dzud killed 8 million animals in one season. Entire herds, entire livelihoods, gone within a matter of weeks. Have you ever lived somewhere that could turn against you that fast? Where the very land that feeds your family could just as easily starve it? That is the deal every nomadic family in Mongolia has made with this country. Generation after generation, Mongolia does not really do moderation. Everything here tends toward extremes. The biggest, the coldest, the emptiest, the oldest. And the people who call this land home are not simply surviving it. They are descended, quite literally, from the ones who once ruled half of it, and it shows. Here is a fact that still stops me every time I think about it. In 2003, a team of geneticists from Oxford and Stanford studied the Y chromosomes of men across a wide belt of Asia and found something extraordinary. Roughly 8% of men in that region, an estimated 16 million people alive today, carry a genetic line that traces directly back to a single man, Genghis Khan, one person, 800 years ago, and his bloodline now runs through 0.5% of every man currently alive on planet Earth. Look closely at Mongolians today, and you will see the echoes of that steppe heritage everywhere. High cheekbones, almond-shaped eyes, frames built for the saddle, not the office chair. Out in the countryside, people still wear the deal as everyday clothing, a long traditional robe fastened with a side clasp and a silk sash. Not a costume for tourists, just what you put on in the morning. The word Mongol itself translates roughly to brave, but the bravery here rarely announces itself loudly. There is an old proverb passed down through generations. A man without a horse is like a bird without wings. That line is not meant as poetry. To the people who say it, it is simply a plain description of how the world works. Now here is something about this culture that genuinely surprised me, and I think it might surprise you too. Today, 61.5% of university students in Mongolia are women, a higher share than in the United States. And this is not some brand new development. This country has quietly been ahead on this for a very long time. Consider Khutulun, a 13th century great-great-granddaughter of Genghis Khan and an undefeated wrestler in an era when that word meant something entirely different than it does now. Her father set a rule for any man who wanted to marry her: beat her in a wrestling match first. Nobody ever did. She amassed 10,000 horses as her winnings from those matches. Centuries later, her story would go on to partially inspire Puccini's opera Turandot. Does that surprise you, that a woman like her existed on the open steppe 800 years ago? Let me know what you think of her story down in the comments, because I have a feeling it is going to stick with you the same way it stuck with me. Hospitality out here works on a completely different logic than most of the world is used to. A nomad's door is essentially never locked, and I mean that almost literally, since most doors here are simply a flap of felt. You could arrive as a total stranger, and you would be welcomed in, seated by the stove, and handed a warm bowl of milk tea before anyone even asks your name. There is a saying that captures it perfectly. A guest is like the wind. You do not ask where they come from. But that hospitality comes with rules, unspoken but absolute. Never step directly on the threshold of a jar, because the spirit of the door is believed to live there. Never walk between two people who are mid-conversation. Always accept anything offered to you with your right hand. And if a nomad offers you a bowl of airag, fermented mare's milk, turning it down on that first offer is considered deeply rude. So you drink it, whether or not you were expecting to. And behind all of this warmth and hospitality sits a legacy that still casts a long shadow across the entire region. Genghis Khan built the largest contiguous land empire in the whole of human history, an empire that at its peak covered 22% of the Earth's entire land surface, larger than the Roman Empire ever was, larger than the British Empire at its height, built from a base of people who, even today, number only a few million. Have you ever thought about how a population this small managed something that massive? I want to hear your theory in the comments below, because historians still argue about it, and I think you might have a take worth adding to that conversation. Now here is where Mongolia becomes something genuinely unlike anywhere else on this planet. Because this country does not simply have a past and a present, it lives inside both of them, at the exact same time, in the same week, sometimes in the same family. Half of the entire country, 1.7 million out of 3.4 million people, lives inside a single city, Ulaanbaatar, which locals simply call UB, the coldest capital city on Earth by day, and by night, an entirely different place altogether, with clubs pulsing hip-hop and techno until 4 in the morning, rooftop lounges perched on sail-shaped towers overlooking the main square, young Mongolians dressed in traditional robes paired with sneakers, working on laptops inside coffee shops that would not look out of place in any major city in the world. And then you drive 2 hours outside that city, and every single trace of that modern world disappears behind you. Roughly 30% of Mongolia's population still lives fully nomadic, over 1 million people moving across the land in a rhythm almost identical to the one their ancestors followed 3,000 years ago. Home is a ger. It can be raised in 3 hours flat by hands that have done it 1,000 times before, and it can withstand winds up to 60 miles an hour without so much as shifting on its foundation. Out here, on this open grassland, horses outnumber people 13 to 1. Sheep outnumber people 35 to 1. Have you ever tried to picture a place where the animals so completely outnumber the humans that the land itself feels like it belongs to them first and to people second? That is daily life on the Mongolian steppe. And here is the part that genuinely surprised me when I first learned it. This is not a world frozen in amber, cut off from everything modern. Solar panels sit on the roofs of these gers, quietly charging phones through the night. Motorbikes are parked right beside horses, both treated as completely ordinary modes of transport. A grandmother kneads dough for dumplings on a wood-fired stove, while her grandson sits cross-legged nearby, completely absorbed in a video playing on a phone propped against a milk pail. 2 centuries, sharing the exact same room, and somewhere out in that endless grass, waiting patiently for you to find it, lives the very last, truly wild horse left on the entire planet. I want you to really sit with that phrase for a second, because I do not mean wild in the way we usually use that word. I am not talking about the Mustangs roaming free in Nevada. Those are feral domestic horses, descendants of animals that escaped captivity generations ago. What I am describing to you now is something else entirely. A horse that has never once, in its entire evolutionary history, been tamed. Not by anyone, not ever. It is called Przewalski's horse. Locals call it taki, a word that translates to spirit. Picture an animal barely 4 feet tall at the shoulder, stocky and powerfully built, almost like a horse crossed with a bulldog, with a short, stiff mane that stands straight up along its neck rather than falling to one side. This species split off from the ancestors of domestic horses more than 50,000 years ago and has been running its own separate evolutionary path ever since. Here is the part of this story that still stops me cold every time I tell it. In 1969, the taki was officially declared extinct in the wild, gone, wiped out completely from the landscape it had called home for tens of thousands of years. The only individuals left anywhere on Earth were 12 horses, scattered across a handful of zoos, holding the entire genetic future of their species inside just those 12 bodies, 12 animals. That is how close this creature came to vanishing from existence entirely. Then, in 1992, something remarkable happened. Mongolia partnered with the Netherlands to begin an ambitious return of the taki to its native land. They flew 84 descendants of those original 12 horses back to Hustai Nuru, a protected area roughly 70 miles west of Ulaanbaatar. They opened the gates, and then they simply waited to see what would happen. Today, more than 400 wild taki roam free across that park, galloping across the same grassland their ancestors vanished from half a century earlier. It stands as one of the greatest conservation comebacks in modern history, a species pulled back from the absolute edge of oblivion by nothing more than patience, cooperation, and a refusal to let it disappear. I once heard about an old herder in his 70s who had not laid eyes on a wild taki since he was a boy of 8 years old. 60 years passed, and then, one afternoon, standing on a hill overlooking the steppe, he watched a herd of 20 taki gallop past him in the open grass. He said, afterward, that he cried, not from sadness, from something closer to disbelief, watching a piece of his childhood run back into existence in front of him. Has something ever come back into your life that you were sure was gone for good? I would genuinely love to hear that story in the comments below, because I think Mongolia has a way of pulling those memories out of people. And speaking of things returning from the edge of extinction, from the edge of silence itself, wait until you hear what a Mongolian throat singer actually sounds like, because I promise you, no description prepares you for it. You truly have to hear Mongolian music with your own ears to believe that it is real. There exists an art form here called kurme, throat singing, and I want to be clear that I do not simply mean chanting or humming. I mean a single human being producing 2, sometimes 3, entirely distinct musical notes at the exact same moment. A deep, resonant, growling drone, rising from somewhere deep in the chest, and layered above it, a high, clear, whistling note that floats over the top like it belongs to a completely different instrument altogether. One human body, 2 separate sounds, at the very same time. It should not be physically possible, and yet Mongolian throat singers have been doing it for centuries. UNESCO has recognized kurme on its list of the world's intangible cultural heritage, and there are actually 5 distinct styles of this singing, each one built to imitate something different from the natural world. One style mimics the sound of wind moving through a narrow canyon. Another recreates the rhythm of a galloping horse. A third channels the sound of a river running quietly beneath a sheet of ice. Musicians here did not simply create sound. They translated the entire landscape into something you could sing. And alongside the voice sits an instrument found almost nowhere else on earth, the morin khur, the horsehead fiddle. 2 strings, both made from horsehair, stretched across a body carved from wood, with a horse's head sculpted at the very top of the neck. Legend says a shepherd once lost the horse he loved most in the world, and in his grief built an instrument from its bones and hair so that he might still hear its voice somehow, even after it was gone. UNESCO named it a masterpiece of human heritage in 2003. Have you ever lost something you loved so completely that you tried to find a way to keep its voice alive? I think that is part of why this instrument still moves people the way it does, centuries after that shepherd first built one. There is also long song, a style where a single line of lyrics can stretch out across 4 full minutes of melody. You need an enormous open sky to hold a song that patient, that unwilling to be rushed. It could not exist in a crowded city. It needed the steppe to be born. Here is a fact that might genuinely surprise you. The Mongolian contortion team has quietly dominated Cirque du Soleil productions for the past 2 decades, performing in Las Vegas, in Montreal, in cities across the entire world. If you have ever watched a performer bend their body in a way that seemed physically impossible, there is a real chance you were watching a Mongolian artist without ever knowing where they came from. Now let's talk about what actually fuels a culture capable of producing throat singers, contortionists, and warriors, all from the same small population. Because the food here tells its own story entirely. Mongolian food is honest, in the truest sense of that word. This land grows almost nothing. No sprawling farmland, no orchards, no fields of grain stretching to the horizon. So the people here built an entire culinary tradition around what their animals could give them instead. There is booze, steamed dumplings filled with lamb and onion, eaten by hand, never with a fork, because out here, food is meant to be touched, not merely consumed. During Tsagan Sar, the Lunar New Year celebration, families gather to roll out thousands of these dumplings at once, sometimes working together for days, just to prepare enough for everyone who will walk through the door. Then there is korkog, Mongolian barbecue done the way it was meant to be done. Nothing like the version you might find at a shopping mall food court. You take chunks of lamb, bones still attached, and heat river stones until they glow red hot. Then you layer those stones directly with the meat inside a sealed metal container and let it sit. 2 hours later, the meat falls clean off the bone. Nomad families reserve horkog for special occasions only. If someone in Mongolia cooks horkog for you, understand that you are being honored in a way that goes far beyond a simple meal. And then there is erag, fermented mare's milk, sitting at around 2 to 3% alcohol, which nomads drink instead of water throughout the summer months. Tangy, slightly sour, slightly fizzy, in a way that catches you off guard the first time. If any of this has made you hungry or curious, or maybe both at once, let me know in the comments which dish you would try first, the dumplings or the horkog, because I have a feeling this comment section is about to get very divided. Now we arrive at the one event that, more than anything else in this entire country, shows you exactly who Mongolia truly is at its core. If you only ever watch one thing about this nation in your entire life, let it be this: Naadam, the 3 manly games, wrestling, horse racing, and archery, a tradition stretching back more than 800 years, held every single year, from July 11th through the 13th. UNESCO placed it on the Intangible Heritage List back in 2010. It began in the era of Genghis Khan himself, originally designed to train warriors for battle. Today, the entire country stops, quite literally, for 3 full days, just to watch. Wrestling comes first, called Buk. In 2011, Mongolia set the Guinness World Record for the largest wrestling tournament ever assembled anywhere on Earth. 6,002 wrestlers, all competing at the exact same time, filling Sukbatar Square from edge to edge. The wrestlers wear an open-chested vest, tiny shorts, and boots that curl upward sharply at the toe. Legend claims that centuries ago, a woman disguised herself as a man and defeated every single wrestler in the tournament before anyone realized the truth. In response, they redesigned the vest to remain open at the front from that point forward, ensuring it could never happen unnoticed again. Every winner performs an eagle dance, both before and after each match, wings outstretched, honoring the bird that has always symbolized power across the steppe. Then comes horse racing, and this is where Mongolia truly separates itself from anything else in the world. There is no track here, no oval, no fences guiding the horses along a predetermined path. The horses race straight across the open steppe itself, covering 18 to 30 kilometers, roughly the distance of a half marathon, at an absolute full sprint. And the jockeys, the ones controlling these powerful animals at breakneck speed, are children between the ages of 5 and 13. Mongolian kids learn to ride starting at age 3. By the time they turn 5, many are already competing in races that would terrify grown adults in most other parts of the world. Would you ever let your own child ride like that? I want to know your honest answer in the comments below, because I think this is one of the most fascinating cultural differences we will cover in this entire video. The winning horse in these races gets sprayed with fresh mare's milk as a mark of honor, a blessing poured over an animal that has just carried a child faster than most adults will ever move in their entire lives. The winning child receives a title that will follow them for years, a saddle crafted specifically for the occasion, and a kind of instant national fame that no amount of money could otherwise buy. Then comes archery, the third and final discipline of Naadam. Both men and women compete here, using traditional bows and hand-carved wooden arrows passed down through generations of practice. And here is the detail that genuinely surprised me the first time I learned about it. Spectators stand directly beside the targets themselves, close enough to be in real danger, singing directions to the archers as they take aim. Not shouting, singing, a melody meant to guide an arrow toward its mark. You leave Naadam understanding something about this country that no statistic could ever fully explain to you. This is not a performance staged for outsiders. This is Mongolia, remembering, out loud and in public, exactly who it has always been. 40 miles east of Ulaanbaatar, sits something that will stop you completely in your tracks the moment you see it. A statue. A single man, mounted on a horse, cast entirely in gleaming stainless steel, standing 131 feet tall and weighing 250 tons. The largest equestrian statue anywhere in the world. It depicts Genghis Khan himself, facing east, toward the exact direction where he was born. Visitors can ride an elevator straight up through the horse's chest and emerge onto a viewing platform built into the top of its head, looking out across the same endless steppe he once rode across himself. Drive another 200 miles beyond that statue, and you reach Karakoram, the remains of what was once Karakoram, the 13th century capital of the entire Mongol Empire. In its prime, Karakoram was home to Muslim merchants, Chinese artisans, Christian priests, Taoist monks, and Buddhist lamas, all living side by side within the same city walls. Historians consider it to have possibly been the most genuinely cosmopolitan city on Earth at that point in human history. Marco Polo's own father and uncle are believed to have passed through these very streets on their travels. Standing right beside those ancient ruins is Erdeni Zoo Monastery, constructed in 1585 using stones pulled directly from the remnants of Karakoram itself, surrounded by 108 white stupas, a number considered sacred within Buddhist tradition. To walk through this place is to walk through the literal capital of the man whose bloodline still runs through 16 million living men today. Does history usually feel that close to you, that immediate, that physically touchable? I would love to know if you have ever stood somewhere that made the past feel less like a story and more like a place you could actually reach out and put your hand on. Now travel far to the north, close to the Russian border, and you will find Lake Hovsgol again, this time up close, in all its actual color. Locals call it the Blue Pearl, and the water genuinely shifts in tone as it deepens. Turquoise, where the lake bed sits close to the surface, fading into a deep, almost impossible sapphire wherever the floor drops away beneath you. You can see 65 feet straight down through water this clear, all of it framed by dense Siberian pine forest crowding right up to the shoreline. This single lake holds 2% of all the fresh water found anywhere on the surface of the Earth. It ranks as the third oldest lake on the entire planet, roughly 2 million years older than the Grand Canyon itself. Every March, the surface freezes completely solid, forming ice 5 feet thick, and Mongolia responds by throwing an entire festival directly on top of that frozen lake. Skating races, elaborate ice sculptures, dog sledding, and shaman ceremonies performed at sunrise as the ice glows orange beneath the early light. Nearby live the Tsartan people, reindeer herders whose children genuinely ride reindeer to school each morning, a detail that sounds almost invented until you see it with your own eyes. Now let's head south, far south, into the Gobi itself, the largest desert anywhere in Asia, covering a full third of Mongolia's entire landmass. But set aside whatever image the word desert usually conjures in your mind, because this is not an ocean of soft sand dunes. This is mostly rocky plateau, gravel underfoot, weathered stone ridges shaped by wind over millions of years, swinging from 40 degrees below zero at night to well over 100 degrees during the summer, sometimes within the very same year. In the middle of this desert sit the flaming cliffs, known locally as Bayanzag. As the sun sets each evening, the sandstone here ignites into deep orange, red, and gold, until the entire ridge appears to be genuinely on fire. In 1923, an American explorer named Roy Chapman Andrews led a team from the American Museum of Natural History out into these cliffs, and there, for the very first time anywhere on Earth, they discovered dinosaur eggs. Protoceratops eggs, still resting inside their original nest, 80 million years old, untouched until that moment. It is worth mentioning, as a small aside, that Roy Chapman Andrews is widely believed to be the real-life inspiration behind Indiana Jones, leather jacket, wide-brimmed hat, and all. And somewhere hidden deep within these same desert mountains lives one of the rarest and most elusive cats found anywhere on this planet. If there is a genuine ghost walking this earth, this is the closest thing to it. Grey and silver fur, marked with soft black rosettes across its body, pale green eyes that seem to glow faintly in low light, and a tail nearly as long as its own body, which it wraps around its face like a scarf whenever it sleeps through temperatures of -30 degrees. And this animal cannot roar. It physically lacks the ability. Instead, it produces a soft chuffing sound, something closer to a polite exhale than any kind of predator's warning. Have you ever seen a photo of this animal before today? And if so, do you remember where? I want to hear about it in the comments below, because this next part of the story might be the single rarest thing in this entire video. Here is why this particular animal matters so much to the story of this country. Mongolia is home to somewhere between 500 and 1,000 snow leopards, meaning roughly a third of every snow leopard alive on the entire planet calls this nation home. Only China holds a larger population. They live between 9,800 and 18,000 feet above sea level, deep within the Altai Mountains, hunting argali, the largest wild sheep species on Earth, animals whose horns alone can weigh up to 55 pounds. A snow leopard can leap 50 feet in a single bound to bring one down, a burst of raw power from an animal that otherwise moves through these mountains almost silently, almost invisibly. Local nomads consider the snow leopard to be the literal spirit of the mountain itself. Killing one is believed to bring genuine bad luck upon the person responsible. So a program run by the Snow Leopard Trust took that belief and built something practical from it. Herders now knit wool crafts by hand and sell them internationally, and the money raised helps offset the sheep they inevitably lose to leopard attacks throughout the year. It works. Today, Mongolia stands as perhaps the single best chance anywhere on Earth to see a wild snow leopard with your own eyes. Before we go any further into this story, I want to pause here and ask you directly, if you are finding yourself as genuinely amazed by this country as I was while researching it, take a second right now and hit that like button. It genuinely helps a smaller channel like Legends TV reach more people who would love a story exactly like this one. And if you have not already subscribed, now is a perfect moment to do it, because we are only about halfway through everything Mongolia still has to show you. Every year, in late January or early February, Mongolia transforms entirely, though not because of snowfall. This is Tsagan Sa, White Moon, the Mongolian Lunar New Year, following the Tibetan Buddhist calendar rather than the more widely known Chinese calendar. Families spend an entire month preparing beforehand. Grandmothers oversee the preparation of thousands of booze dumplings, sometimes 3,000 or 4,000 of them, made collectively over days of shared labor. Every person receives a brand new deal to wear. Old debts are settled. Old grudges, some carried for years, are finally set down. At the center of every household celebration sits Yule Bouv, the shoe sole cake, a tower of hard-baked biscuits stacked carefully in layers, each layer representing a distinct stage of human life, topped with dairy sweets and cubes of sugar. And there is a specific greeting reserved for this occasion, Zolgoch, performed when a younger person meets an elder. Both arms extend outward, palms facing upward, and the elder rests their own arms gently on top. Quiet, specific, a gesture that carries centuries of meaning inside a single motion, the kind of ritual you can only truly understand once you have stood there yourself and felt it happen to you. Has your own family ever held on to a tradition like this, something small and specific that outsiders would never fully understand just by hearing it described? I would genuinely love to read about it in the comments below. Now travel far into Mongolia's western reaches, and you will find the Altai Mountains rising sharp and white against the sky. 5 sacred peaks, standing together, known as Altai Tavan Bogd. Kwitin Peak reaches 14,350 feet into the air, glaciers hanging suspended between the ridgelines, turquoise glacial lakes pooling in the valleys far below. But these mountains are not simply beautiful to look at. They are covered in writing, in the deepest sense of that word. Petroglyphs, ancient rock carvings, are scattered across the entire Altai range, depicting hunters chasing deer, dancers frozen mid-motion, riders on horseback, even mammoths etched into stone by hands that vanished thousands of years ago. Some of these carvings are 12,000 years old. UNESCO added them to the World Heritage List in 2011, and they stand today as, quite literally, one of the oldest picture books ever created on the entire continent of Asia. Alongside the petroglyphs sit the deer stones, Bronze Age monuments carved with images of stylized deer, their forms stretched upward as though flying toward the sky itself. Mongolia holds 80% of every known deer stone on the planet within its own borders. Stand beside one of these stones alone at sunset, watching the light fade across the surrounding grassland, and you begin to understand something you cannot fully explain in words. You are not the first person to have ever stood in that exact spot. You are the 10,000th generation to do so. Now for the story I have genuinely been waiting this entire video to tell you, because I think it might be the single wildest thing you learn today. Picture a man on horseback, standing in the mountains of Western Mongolia, tilting his head back and calling a 15-pound golden eagle down out of the open sky, using nothing more than his own voice. No whistle, no lure, just a sound this bird has learned to trust completely. This practice is called burkuchi, eagle hunting, carried out by the Kazakh people of Bayan-Olgi province for roughly 4,000 years, a tradition older than the Roman Empire itself. Today, only about 250 real eagle hunters remain anywhere in the world. A hunter climbs to a nest when the eaglet reaches 4 months old and takes only one bird, always a female, since females grow larger and stronger than the males. For the following 5 to 7 years, the two of them train together constantly, the eagle riding on the hunter's gloved arm, the leather thick enough to withstand talons capable of crushing a human wrist without effort. Together, they hunt fox, wolf, and marmot across the frozen winter steppe, a partnership built entirely on trust between a person and a wild animal that could, at any moment, simply choose to fly away and never return. If you're loving this story so far, make sure to like this video and drop a comment letting me know which part has surprised you the most: the wild horses, the throat singers, or this eagle hunter we're about to meet. And if this is your first time here, subscribe to Legends TV now, because our next story is going to take you somewhere just as unforgettable. And here is the part of this story that I find most beautiful of all. When the eagle reaches around 10 years old, the hunter releases her back into the wild, back to the exact mountains where she was born, so that she can find a mate and continue her own life on her own terms. The partnership was never about ownership. It was always temporary by design, built on the understanding that she belonged to the sky first, and to him only for a season of it. Every October, the Golden Eagle Festival in Bayan-Olgi brings hundreds of these hunters together to compete, judged on how quickly their eagle responds to a call, how fast she strikes a dragged fox pelt across open ground, and the craftsmanship of the traditional Kazakh clothing each hunter wears. UNESCO recognized the practice as intangible cultural heritage back in 2010, and then, in 2014, something happened that changed how the entire world saw this tradition. A 13-year-old girl named Aysholpan entered the competition. Her father had trained her himself, against centuries of unspoken expectation that this was a role reserved only for men. She won. She broke a tradition that had stood, essentially untouched, for 2,000 years. A documentary called The Eagle Huntress told her story to audiences worldwide in 2016, and she eventually found herself on the cover of Vogue, a 13-year-old girl from the mountains of Western Mongolia, standing alongside a golden eagle, having quietly rewritten what an entire culture believed was possible. I want you to think about that for a second. A tradition that had existed for 2,000 years, untouched, until one girl and her father decided it did not have to stay that way. Has there ever been a rule in your own life, something everyone simply assumed was fixed and unchangeable, that you or someone you know ended up breaking anyway? Tell me about it in the comments below, because I have a feeling stories like Aysholpan's exist far closer to home than we sometimes realize. That is what Mongolia does, again and again, throughout this entire journey. It takes something impossibly old, something that has survived for centuries without needing to change, and somehow makes it feel like it belongs to the future, just as much as it belongs to the past. Now, before we close out this story, let's talk about what it would actually take for you to go there yourself. Because I have a feeling that after everything you've just seen, a part of you already wants to. The best time to visit runs from June through September, when temperatures sit comfortably between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and the entire steppe turns a deep, vivid green. The Naadam Festival takes place every year from July 11th through the 13th. Though be warned, prices climb sharply, and hotels fill up fast during that window. If the Golden Eagle Festival is what pulled you into this story, plan to arrive in early October, specifically in Bayan-Ogi province. And if it's the frozen beauty of Lake Kovsgol you're after, March brings the Ice Festival, when the entire lake becomes a stage for skating, sculpture, and sunrise ceremony. Try to avoid April and May if you can, since dust storms tend to sweep through the region during those months. As for cost, Mongolia is not quite as inexpensive as many travelers assume going in. Budget travel runs somewhere between $30 and $50 a day, with hostels in Ulaanbaatar averaging $10 to $15 a night. A mid-range trip, the kind that includes a proper camp experience with meals and a private 4x4 with driver, runs closer to $100 to $200 daily. And for those wanting real comfort along the way, luxury travel through Mongolia sits around $300 to $400 a day. There are no direct flights from the United States, so expect to transit through Seoul, Tokyo, or Beijing along the way. A round trip from New York or Los Angeles typically runs between $1,200 and $1,800, depending on the season you book. For American travelers, the visa situation is refreshingly simple. None required. US citizens receive 90 days visa-free entry, and all you need is a passport valid for at least 6 months beyond your arrival date. If you plan to stay longer than 30 days, you are required to register with the local border authority within your first 7 days in the country, a step worth writing down now so you don't forget it later. And if you do make the journey, carry these small rules with you, because they matter deeply to the people who will welcome you. Never step directly on the threshold of a ger. Never walk between two people who are mid-conversation. Always receive anything offered to you with your right hand. And if someone hands you a bowl of arag, take it, smile, and drink. Before we reach the end of this story together, I want to ask you something honestly. After everything you've just seen, the wild horses brought back from the very edge of extinction, the 13-year-old girl who rewrote a 2,000-year-old tradition, the throat singers holding 2 notes in a single breath, would you actually go? Not just add it to some abstract bucket list buried in your notes app, but genuinely book the flight if the opportunity landed in front of you tomorrow. Type yes below if this story just earned Mongolia a real spot on your travel list. And while you're there, make sure you've hit that like button and subscribe to Legends TV, because we are about to close out this journey together, and I do not want you to miss where we're headed next. Let's go back, for a moment, to where this entire story began. A boy learning to ride before he ever learned to read, disappearing over a hill at full sprint with no fence to stop him and no finish line in sight. And across the same country, on that exact same night, someone his own age sipping a drink in a glass tower, city lights spread out beneath them like scattered stars. 2 lives, 2 centuries, 1 country holding both of them at once, without ever needing to choose between them. That contradiction is not a flaw in Mongolia. It is the entire heart of what makes this place so unforgettable. Think back over everything we've walked through together in this story. A horse species that vanished from the wild completely, down to 12 animals scattered across zoos on opposite sides of the planet, and somehow, through decades of patience, came galloping back across the exact grassland it once disappeared from. A genetic line from a single man, 800 years gone, still running through the blood of 16 million people alive on Earth today. A 13-year-old girl who looked at a rule that had gone unquestioned for 2,000 years and simply decided it did not have to apply to her. A throat singer producing 2 distinct notes from 1 human body, a sound that should not be physically possible, and yet fills the open steppe every single day. A snow leopard, silver and silent, considered the very spirit of the mountains it moves through, protected not by fences or laws alone, but by belief itself, and by woolcrafts sold halfway around the world to families who have never once set foot in Mongolia. A boy of 5, racing at full sprint across open grassland with no fence in sight, because out here, that has simply always been what growing up looks like. Have you ever stood somewhere that made you feel small in the best possible way? Somewhere so vast and so old that your own life suddenly felt like a single thread inside something much larger than yourself? I think that is exactly what Mongolia does to nearly everyone who goes there. It does not ask you to admire it from a distance. It pulls you directly into it, and it does not let go easily once you leave. Because underneath everything we've covered today, the wild horses, the eagle hunters, the throat singers, the frozen lake older than the Grand Canyon itself, there is one simple truth sitting at the center of it all. Mongolia is a living reminder that most of human history did not happen behind city walls. It happened out on open grass, beneath a sky that seemed to stretch on forever, among people who kept their doors unlocked for strangers and taught their children to ride before they ever taught them to read. And in Mongolia, unlike almost anywhere else left on this earth, that world has not disappeared. It is still out there right now. As you watch this, someone is stepping out of a jur into the exact same view we described at the very beginning of this story. Grass rolling out toward a horizon that looks like it curves at the edges. If this journey through Mongolia moved you even half as much as it moved me while putting this story together, I want you to do a few things for me right now before you close this video and move on with your day. First, type the word Bayatai in the comments below. That's goodbye in Mongolian. And let me know exactly which part of this story stayed with you the longest. Was it the wild horses brought back from the edge of extinction? The eagle huntress who broke a 2,000-year-old tradition at just 13 years old? Or was it something smaller, quieter, the grandmother making dumplings while her grandson watches videos on a phone propped against a milk pail, 2 centuries sharing the exact same room? Second, if you have not already, hit that like button right now. It costs you nothing, but it tells the algorithm that stories like this one deserve to reach more people, and it is genuinely the single easiest way to support a channel like Legends TV as we grow. Third, subscribe, and make sure you turn on notifications, because we are just getting started. There are entire countries out there just as strange, just as beautiful, and just as misunderstood as Mongolia was to most people before today. And we plan to take you to every single one of them. And finally, share this video with the one friend you know would actually want to ride across that steppe beside you. The one who would say yes before you even finished asking. Send it to them right now, while this story is still fresh in your mind, because some places are meant to be dreamed about together. Where should we go next? Drop your guess in the comments below. Japan? Morocco? Bhutan? Peru? I read every single one of them, and there's a good chance your suggestion becomes our next story. Until then, my friend, thank you for coming on this journey with me. Bayatai, goodbye, from Mongolia.